A very good day to you, class. Today we are going to learn about functions. By end of this lesson, what you should be able to do is you should be able to define a function, you should be able to write a function, you should be able to define a domain and range. And we're going to summarize all these three things by use of an example so that you can actually define a function, you can actually write a function, and also define a domain and range. But what is really a function? A function is a special relationship where each input is a single output. It's a special relationship where each input has a single output. So the key word there is input and output. So there has to be an input, then a single output from every input. So we can further break it down by use of a diagram there. A diagram there is showing that there is an input that's going to a function. Then we're going to get an output from that function. So that red box is representing our function. It's representing our function. We can further break down that function so that we can know what letters we can use and how we can write it. So what you are saying there is our y is now representing the output that we are going to get from our function. Then our f is the name of the function. Our f is the name of the function. Then x is the input of the function. And remember, we're not only limited to f, we can also use g, we can also use h, or any other letter. But in this lesson, we're going to be using f to represent our function. As an example, we have f of x equal to x minus 4. F of x equal to x minus 4. We're going to find the values of f of 2, f of 0, and f of minus 3. The solution to that example is as follows. For f of 2, what we are doing there is we're saying our x is equal to 2, our x is equal to 2. Wherever there is x on our function there, we're replacing it by 2, so that we have 2 minus 4. Then our answer is minus 2. By use of a diagram, what you are saying, our input value there is 2 going to our function. Then the output from that function is now minus 2. Then we can also do the same thing also for f of 0. For f of 0, what you are saying there, again, is that our x is equal to 0. So on our function there, which is on the top there, on our function we are replacing wherever there is x, we are replacing it by a 0. So that we have 0 minus 4. Then we get our answer, which is minus 4. And also by use of a diagram, what we are saying is our input value going to our function. Again, that red box is representing our function. We have our output from that, which is minus 4. We can also further do the same thing also for f of minus 3. For f of minus 3, what we are saying also is we're saying our x is equal to minus 3, and we replace, wherever this x, we replace it by minus 3, so that we get our answer is minus 7. So for this example, we have managed to use only 3 input values, which are 2, 0, and minus 3. And the format is called a domain. And what you should remember also as well is that our domain is not only limited to those 3 values. As you shall see, as we'll be doing more examples in later lessons, you shall find that it's going to be as wide as possible, and it's only going to be limited by our function. Then from that, we also got output values, which were minus 2, minus 4, and minus 7. Those 3 values, they form what is called a range. They form what is called a range. And it's only coming from the pool of a range. It will be also as wide as possible and only limited by the function as well. So let's formally define what is a domain and what is a range. A domain is the set of all possible input values which produce a valid output from a particular function. Is a set of all possible input values. A set of all possible input values which produce a valid output. Then a range is the set of all possible output values. A set of all possible output values which result from using a particular function. And the keyword you can see there, we have repeated the term all possible, as you can see, all possible inputs, all possible input values, all possible output values. And these were only limited by the function, as you shall see as well when you're going to do other examples, and also when you introduce other functions, which will be more complicated, will also be limited also by the function. From my example, we have used 2, 0, and minus 3. We have circled that to show that it's coming from a domain. And you can see the value 2 is a single value minus 2. Also 0 is a single answer there, which is minus 4. Minus 3 we get minus 7. And we have circled that to show that that's our range. And this pool is going to be as well as large as possible. It's all limited by the function as well. So that forms what is called a domain. And the f there is representing our function that we have. Then this will be our output, and this is our input. So as a further exercise that you can do, I just want you to do f of x equal to 9x plus 2. Just want to do f of x equal to 9x plus 2. And in this case, we're going to find f of 2, we're going to find f of 3, we're going to find f of minus 1. So what we are going to do is, we are going to replace also our x value there by 2, 3, and minus 1 as an exercise. For example, for 2, we're going to say 9 times 2 plus 2, then you get your answer. So that will give you our input values. The input values there are going to be 2, 3, and minus 1. Then you get your output values as well. So what we have done in this lesson is we have managed to define a function. We have also managed to define a domain, which are input values, and we also managed to do a range, which is output values. What we are going to do, that is it for our lesson. But what we are going to do in our further lessons is we shall also graph, for example, the function that we did, shall learn how to graph those functions. We shall also learn to do some general functions that are also known. We shall do that as well. Then we shall learn also how to find the domain and finding the range for a certain function. Because there are some certain functions that are also limited, the certain functions that limit us in terms of a domain and in terms of a range. Thank you for joining me for this lesson. I hope you enjoyed the lesson.